On a scorching day, I left my 4-year-old daughter in the car, and she suffocated to death. Everyone was frantic. The nanny urged me to open the car door immediately and take out my daughter's body for cremation. My husband also condemned me as irresponsible and unfit to be a mother. Yet there I was, holding a cold drink, standing among the gawking crowd, beaming from ear to ear. "Mommy, it's my birthday today. Can I please skip kindergarten?" The moment she opened her eyes, my daughter wrapped her arms around my neck and asked me in her sweet, little voice. My eyes instantly welled up with tears. On this very day in my past life, my daughter had asked me the same question. I secretly wanted to give her a day off, but my husband Evan said we shouldn't let our daughter develop bad habits, so he took her to school as usual, and we agreed he'd take her to Disney for the evening fireworks after school. But for some reason, after I went to work, my daughter, who should have been at kindergarten, was in my car. The outdoor temperature that day was a scorching 38 degrees Celsius, and my phone was on silent. I ignored my husband's calls, and he had to come to my office to find me. By the time I ran to the parking lot and opened the car door, my daughter had already suffocated to death. I threw myself over my daughter's body, weeping uncontrollably. But my husband suddenly turned on me. He told the onlookers that I favored sons over daughters and had deliberately caused our daughter's death. Even the nanny, who had been very close to me, began to testify against me, claiming I often called my daughter a financial burden and was planning to try for her son. Just like that, I was taken away by the police, convicted, and sentenced to 5 years, still not satisfied. My husband gave our parents' address to radical netizens, and soon after, the two elderly people accidentally drowned. I endured my time in prison alone, and before long, I fell into depression from missing my daughter. With my cellmates constantly tormenting me, I eventually sought my own way out, and to my dying day, I never understood why my husband, who had always been so considerate to me and so loving to our daughter, suddenly turned into a monster who would slander me. At that moment, my memories were interrupted by my husband. He pushed the door open and called our daughter's name. "Daisy, we're good kids. We don't skip school, Mommy and Daddy promise. We'll take you to Disneyland as soon as Daisy gets home from school." Okay, Daisy, being a good girl, promptly got up at that, gave me a kiss, and followed my husband to get washed up. Her soft little lips landed on my cheek, and my hand clenched slightly under the covers. Evan smiled at me. "I'll take Daisy to school. You get some more rest," looking at his gentle demeanor. I could hardly connect him to the man from my past life who had screamed and cursed at me. There was no way I could fall back asleep, so I got out of bed too. Seeing this, Evan asked me, "You worked so late last night. Why aren't you sleeping in?" I tried to act natural. I was thinking of going downstairs to get some youtiao. The nanny heard this and immediately offered to go with a smile. I waved my hand. "Mrs. Me, you just help Daisy pack her school bag. I can go by myself." After Daisy was born, my mother helped look after her for half a year. Later, Evan went to a domestic service agency and hired Mrs. May. Mrs. May is 5 years younger than my mother. She's a great cook, very tidy, and always knows what needs doing. She was especially fond of Daisy, which is why I was always so good to Mrs. May. Yet this very woman, whom I treated like my own mother, in my past life actually joined forces with Evan to slander me, accusing me of favoring sons over daughters and claiming I always wanted to have another boy. The thought sent a chill through my entire body. Standing there in the bright sunlight, I couldn't help but shudder. I bought some fried dough sticks and headed home. Daisy had already finished her breakfast. Evan took Daisy to school and thoughtfully reminded me, "The high today is 38 degrees, so make sure to stay cool and avoid the heat." I nodded. After a quick breakfast, I went into the bathroom. I opened my phone and let out a cold laugh. Sure enough, Evan had put my phone on silent. In my previous life, I was tied up in meetings as soon as I got to the office, so I never thought to check my phone. Just as I was about to head out for lunch, Evan suddenly burst into my office. "Claire, I've been calling you all morning. Why haven't you picked up a single time?" I picked up my phone and saw dozens of missed calls from him, from Mrs. May, and from several business partners. But my phone hadn't made a sound all morning. Upon closer inspection, I realized it had been switched to silent mode at some point. I always keep my phone's ringer on full volume so I never miss a client's call. This is a mistake I would never make. But before I could figure out why my phone was on silent, Evan had already slapped me across the face. "You left Daisy in the car. She suffocated to death. You ignored my calls on purpose, trying to kill our daughter. You're a murderer." I was stunned by the blow. "Evan, what are you talking about? You dropped Daisy off at kindergarten this morning. How could she possibly be in my car?" Evan's eyes were bloodshot, tears streaming down his face. "Claire, I never thought you could be so cruel. You were the one who took Daisy out today, saying you were going to Disney for her birthday, then you left her in your car to die, and now you're denying it." I shook off the hand he had on my arm. "Evan, have you lost your mind?" If Daisy didn't go to kindergarten, the teacher would have called us, wouldn't she? Yet, there were no missed calls from the kindergarten teacher on my phone. But Evan said, last night when I picked up Daisy, didn't you tell me to call in sick for her? My mind was in a fog, and I even wondered if I'd slipped into a parallel universe. Just then, my colleague suddenly called out to me, Claire, why are there so many people gathered in the parking lot? At that moment, Mrs. May called Evan. She was crying her heart out. Evan, have you found Claire? The child is already gone. Hurry up and open the car door. In this sweltering heat, if we delay any longer, the body will start to smell. That's when I realized something had really happened to Daisy in my car. Remembering the scene from my past life, I switched my phone back to normal mode, grabbed my keys, and headed to work. I got to the garage, opened the car door, and searched everywhere, but there was no sign of Daisy. Sitting in the car, I thought it over. I've only had this car for 3 days. On the day I picked it up, I wanted to install the dash cam right away, but Evan said his friend was in that business and he'd take it to get installed another day, so it was put on hold for the time being. That's why, in my past life, I couldn't produce any evidence to prove the child wasn't brought onto the car by me. I pulled a voice recorder from my bag and tossed it under the car seat, then called Daisy's homeroom teacher. The phone was on speaker. Ms. Laura, has Daisy arrived in class yet? Ms. Laura sounded surprised. Daisy's mom, when her dad picked her up yesterday, didn't he say she would be taking the day off to go to Disneyland for her birthday today? I pretended to have a sudden realization. Oh, really? Her dad must have been too busy and hasn't had a chance to tell me yet. After exchanging a few more pleasantries with Ms. Laura, I hung up the phone. It seems Evan has already begun to put his plan into action. By then, the car had already pulled up in front of the company building. I parked in a shady spot, left plenty of water and food, gave a pack of cigarettes to the parking lot security guard, and gave him specific instructions. My car just got scratched right after I picked it up. The parking lot cameras have been down for a couple of days and haven't been fixed yet. Keep an eye out for me, will you? If you see anyone hanging around my car, don't tip them off. Just get a video and send it to me. After going upstairs, I canceled my meetings for the day and sat alone in my office, scrolling through videos with the AC blasting. At 9 in the morning, I received the video from the security guard. Evan took out a spare key and helped his daughter into my car. He whispered something to her, and she clapped her hands with delight. Evan then took the water and food, and rolled up the car windows tight. The security guard asked me, Ms. Claire, this person has a key. Are they a member of your family? I gave a quiet affirmation. That's my husband and my daughter. The security guard was reassured. I told him he didn't need to watch my car anymore and could go patrol elsewhere, too. After hanging up the phone, I watched the video over and over. Unable to understand why Evan would do such a thing. Evan and I were college classmates. He came from a humble background, but he was always wonderful to me. After graduation, I married him against my family's wishes. With his genuine warmth and sincerity, he won over my parents. By the time our daughter was born, they had completely accepted him. We've been married for 5 years now and have never had a single argument. He loves me. He loves our daughter. I used to think I was the luckiest woman in the world, but now, I couldn't help but shudder as I looked at the spare car key in his hand. In my past life, after Evan and the nanny found our daughter unconscious and trapped in my car, they kept desperately calling me, but my phone was on silent so I never answered. That's when a bystander asked if he had a spare key, but he just said plaintively, "This is my wife's new car." She couldn't bear to let me drive it, so she hid the spare key. Later, when they still couldn't reach me, someone suggested breaking the car window to rescue her. He still refused. If my wife finds out I was the one who made the call to smash the car, she'll divorce me. And so, by refusing to break the window or call for help, he delayed my daughter past the critical window for rescue, leaving her to suffocate to death in that car. And he, knowing full well my office was right upstairs, only called and texted, refusing to come up and look for me. It wasn't until my daughter had stopped breathing completely that he finally ran upstairs to find me, but by then, it was already too late to save my daughter. I went over every detail of what happened, turning it over and over in my mind, my heart heavy with unanswered questions, trying to uncover the truth about why Evan wanted to kill his daughter. Just then, a message came through on my phone. Looking at the message, a thought suddenly clicked into place. I made a call to confirm it. And everything finally made sense. After hanging up the phone, I grabbed a pair of binoculars and looked down from the window. I saw that Evan had already arrived at the parking lot with the nanny, Mrs. May. Evan and Mrs. May were standing beside my car, peering through the window and discussing something as they observed the situation inside. In my past life, the one thing I could never figure out was why Mrs. May would conspire with Evan to frame me, if Mrs. May were a woman around Evan's age. Or even a few years older, I'd be convinced they were having an inappropriate affair. They could have conspired to kill Daisy, frame me for it, and then run off together. But Mrs. May is truly from my mother's generation, and her dynamic with Evan is purely maternal. That kind of relationship is simply impossible. However, that phone call I just made has given me the answer. I stared coldly down at the street below, just as Evan's call came through, but it rang only once before cutting off. After that, calls from the two of them kept coming every few minutes, each one ringing just once before being hung up. It was obvious, even though Evan had already put my phone on silent, they were still afraid I might answer, hence the extreme caution. Playing along, I pretended not to see the call, letting it ring and go to voicemail. Only when a crowd had gathered too deep downstairs did I change my clothes, put on a hat and mask, and leave the office. On my way out, I even grabbed a cold drink. Once downstairs, I blended into the crowd of onlookers. Evan was pounding on the car window, shouting Daisy's name. Daisy, Daisy, look at Daddy. Please answer me, sweetheart. Inside the car, his daughter lay motionless, face down. The back of her clothes was soaked through, and her hair was plastered to her head in wet strands. Just then, someone called out to Evan, "Are you the father? Get the door open, now," with red-rimmed eyes. Evan said, "This isn't my car, it's my wife's." Today is my daughter's 4th birthday. Early this morning, my wife said she was taking her to Disneyland, but she ended up leaving our daughter in the car. She's not answering her phone now. I can't find her. The nanny, Mrs. May, was crying so hard she nearly collapsed. Daisy, Daisy, look at Granny May, my poor child. I knew your mother didn't like you, that she always wanted a boy, but I never thought she could be so cruel. To leave you in the car, trying to let you suffocate. With tears streaming down her aged face, she addressed the crowd. I'm their nanny. Daisy is such a good girl, but her mother just can't stand her because she's a girl. She doesn't love her at all. If I'd known this would happen, I never would have let Daisy leave with her mother today. Upon hearing that the child's mother favored sons over daughters, everyone was outraged. Just like in his previous life, someone asked Evan if he had a spare key. He was so frantic he began stamping his feet. This is my wife's new car. She's so protective of it she won't even let me drive it. She hid the spare key. One guy immediately went to his own trunk to get a hammer. What are we waiting for? Let's just smash the window. Evan quickly grabbed him. No, you can't. My wife loves this car. If she finds out I was the one who decided to break into it, she'll divorce me. Let's wait a little longer. I'll find her, I promise. The man looked at Evan as if he were an idiot. Mrs. May spoke up for him from the side. Don't blame him. I'm their nanny, and I know his wife's temper. You really can't smash this car, or we'll all be dead. The man who had suggested smashing the car earlier gasped sharply. Buddy, I gotta say, you didn't marry a wife. You married a real battle axe. As he spoke, he pulled out his phone and started recording a video, with everyone around filming and the video being shared nonstop. It wasn't long before I glanced at a social media platform and saw the whole thing blowing up online. Outraged netizens, after pinpointing the location, started flocking to the scene. 3. As the crowd grew larger and larger, Evan launched into his dramatic performance. Slumping against the car, he pounded his head in despair. It's all my fault. I'm useless. I couldn't save my own daughter. I always knew my wife didn't like my daughter, but I thought even the cruelest beast wouldn't harm its own young. I never imagined she could be so vicious, capable of such a monstrous, inhuman act. It was my daughter's birthday. I was supposed to take her to kindergarten, but my wife objected. She said she'd take her to Disneyland instead, so I went to work. How could I have known she'd deliberately leave the child in the car? Mrs. May was now pressed against the car window, looking at the motionless Daisy, tears and mucus streaming down her face. Oh, Daisy, you poor child. Granny May never could have imagined your birthday would also be the day of your death. What kind of heartless monster of a mother is this? I saw there was water and food in her car yesterday, and today she took it all with her when she got out. She's deliberately trying to kill that child. Just last night. Daisy told me her mother always hits her, calls her a worthless burden. Daisy even begged me to take her back to my hometown in the countryside. If I'd known it would come to this, I would have taken her away, even if it meant being branded a kidnapper. The crowd grew agitated. My God, how can a woman be so cruel? Evan sobbed. Her family is rich and powerful. No matter what she does, they'll cover for her. She's not afraid of anything. As he spoke, he pulled out his phone and showed everyone a video. Look, this is my wife's family home. They live in Golden Cove Villas. My father-in-law just retired from his position as the head of a state-owned enterprise, and my mother-in-law has always been in business. The family is loaded. With that video, the all-powerful internet users quickly doxed my parents and even pinpointed my home address. A little over 10 minutes later, my phone suddenly rang. My mom frantically asked me, Claire, What's going on? Someone just smashed our window, saying you left Daisy in the car on purpose and she died. Hearing her voice after so long, a lump formed in my throat. The tragic image of my parents' deaths from my past life flashed before my eyes. I quickly reassured my mom, "Mom, lock the door right now, call the police, and stay inside with Dad. Don't come out, no matter what." My mom was about to say something else when Evan heard my voice. He froze when he saw me. "Claire. What are you doing here?" The nanny's sobbing abruptly stopped. Someone asked, "Who is she?" Evan stammered, "She's my wife." "What?" The crowd erupted. "This woman has been standing here watching the whole time, but she wouldn't come forward." "Yeah, she was standing right next to me, sipping a cold drink. I had no idea she was the child's mother. This is clearly an attempt to harm the child. A woman like this doesn't deserve to be a mother." The netizens were furious. They jostled and surged toward me, some already raising their fists. I calmly picked up the phone. "Don't lay a hand on anyone. The first person who tries, I'm calling the police." The moment Evan heard I was going to call the police, he panicked. "I showed up an hour earlier than he expected. If we call the police now, they'll send an ambulance right away. If the ambulance gets here early, Daisy might have a chance." So he quickly stepped in front of me and said to those people, "Let's talk this out. There's no need to call the police. You can't hit my wife." The nanny, Mrs. May, rushed over in tears and grabbed my hand. "Claire, why bother calling the police? Just phone the funeral home and have them take her away to be cremated. If we wait any longer, the poor child's flesh will be cooked through and start to rot." I wrenched my hand away from hers. "Are you really in such a hurry to have Daisy cremated?" Mrs. May was taken aback. Someone in the crowd began to mutter, "Yeah. What's wrong with this nanny? We haven't even gotten the child out yet, and she's already talking about sending her to the funeral home." Evan panicked along with the chaos and simply dropped to his knees before me, shifting the focus of the conversation back onto me. "Honey, you were right there the whole time. Why wouldn't you save Daisy?" I looked at him calmly. "Darling, what's gotten into you? You tipped Daisy to kindergarten this morning. How could she possibly be in my car?" "I thought this was some kind of surprise you had planned for me." Evan was prepared. "What are you talking about? Honey, wasn't it you who wanted to take Daisy out for the day? Last night when I picked her up, you specifically told me to ask the teacher for a day off. If you don't believe me, we can call the teacher right now." At this point, someone grew impatient. "Enough of this nonsense. Daisy's mom, just open the car and get the child out." I smiled. "You're all just extras my husband hired, aren't you?" Quite the performance. Evan, in no hurry to rescue the child, slowly picked up his phone and dialed Ms. Laura. Ms. Laura confirmed that Daisy had, in fact, taken the day off. Playing along with Evan, my expression shifted dramatically. "Honey, what's going on?" A glint of triumph, perceptible only to me, flashed in Evan's eyes. "Darling, drop the act. Admit you wanted to kill Daisy now, and I might still forgive you." Someone started yelling. "Are you out of your mind? Your wife wanted to kill your daughter, and you're talking about forgiving her. Forget about forgiveness. Save the child." "No, exactly. It's 38 degrees outside, so it must be over 60 in the car. This child hasn't moved for ages. She might already be gone." I calmly retorted to Evan, "You think I wanted to suffocate Daisy in the car? Then let me ask you this. Why aren't you at work right now? What are you doing in the parking lot under my office building all of a sudden? Not only did you come to the parking lot, but you also found Daisy in my car. Are you psychic or something? And another thing, when you found Daisy, why was your first instinct to call the nanny instead of the police? Is Mrs. May a trained paramedic? Or does she carry a set of hydraulic rescue tools? Furthermore, my office is right upstairs. You claim I wasn't answering my phone, so why didn't you come up to find me immediately? Instead, you chose to stay down here and stir up public opinion with the onlookers." My barrage of questions left Evan completely speechless, and within the crowd, some people were already starting to side with me. Evan couldn't answer, and he figured Daisy was probably dead by now. He quickly grabbed my hand. "Honey, if you really want a son, I'll do my part tonight, but Daisy is your own flesh and blood too. Please, just get her out of there." I finished the last sip of my cold drink. "But dear, after I got to the office today, I accidentally lost my car keys. Don't you have a spare? Why didn't you just unlock the door?" A wave of murmurs swept through the crowd. My husband recoiled as if burned, instantly shaking off my hand. "Claire, what nonsense are you talking? You wouldn't even let me sit in your new car, so how could you possibly have given me the spare key?" The nanny immediately chimed in. "I can vouch for that. Claire never gave that key to Daisy's father." I chuckled coldly. "If you don't have the keys, why didn't you just smash the window?" "Evan, it seems to me you didn't want Daisy to live." For some people already had doubts about Evan's refusal to break the window. Now that I'd brought it up, others immediately started to chime in. "Exactly. When a normal person can't find the child's mother, shouldn't their first instinct be to smash the car window? But he claims his wife would divorce him if he broke it. What's more important, the child's life or the marriage? It's been so long, everyone has suggested one rescue plan after another, but this father refuses to act on any of them. He won't even let us call the police." I could see the tide of public opinion starting to turn in my favor. I pointed a finger at Evan. He has the spare key, it's on him right now. I lunged forward and started rifling through Evan's pockets. Evan clutched it tightly, and the nanny rushed over as well, trying to pull me away. The onlookers found it strange. Why does the father seem so afraid of the mother going through his pockets? Could he really have the car keys? The nanny's behavior is odd too. If she truly loves this child as much as she claims, she should be helping the mother search for the keys. Everyone was speculating and getting restless, eager to help me search for the keys. Evan roared, forbidding us from coming any closer. Just then, the police arrived. Who called the police? The police started questioning as soon as they arrived. I raised my hand. It was me. I sent the message to call you. Officer, I think my husband is trying to kill our daughter. The officer frowned. Where's your daughter? In the car. My husband has the keys. Cornered by the police. Evan reluctantly patted down his pockets. To his shock, he actually pulled out a key. Even now, he was still making excuses. Why is this key in my pocket? Claire, did you put it there this morning? I'm being framed. I have no idea how this happened. You're sure you don't know? I sneered. Well then, maybe you'd like to see this. I pulled out my phone and brought up the video the security guard had sent me. Evan, while I was at work, you lured Daisy into my car. Took the water and food I had inside, sealed the windows shut, and then had the nerve to turn around and accuse me of suffocating my own daughter. What in God's name are you trying to pull? Evan never expected that I had captured the whole scene on camera. At that very moment, the police officer swung the car door open. As the door opened, a stifling wave of heat blasted out, overwhelming even the already sweltering air outside. A collective gasp went up from the crowd. Mrs. May let out a wail. Poor Daisy, don't disturb her, take her to be cremated at once, let her rest in peace. There, lying motionless on the back seat of the car, was my daughter Daisy. She was face down, her wet hair covering her entire small face. Its tiny hands and feet hung limp and lifeless. It was clear there was little hope. Among the onlookers, some had already begun to cry, their hearts breaking. The lead police officer sighed, told someone to call an ambulance quickly, and gently called out, "Hang on. Little one, we're here to help you." He turned his daughter over. In that instant, his movements froze. Then, he lifted the child out, but when they saw the child in his arms clearly, everyone was stunned. That's not my daughter Daisy. It's a life-size doll. I had a realistic doll custom-made half a year ago. This doll was a replica of my daughter's likeness, and it cost me 50,000 yuan, unless you look closely. No one can tell it's a doll. The officer was visibly annoyed. What is the meaning of this? Is this some kind of joke? Police resources are not to be wasted like this. At that moment, however, Evan breathed a sigh of relief. He bowed and scraped, urging the officers to leave, insisting it was all just a misunderstanding. But I stopped the police in their tracks. Officer, I'm not making a false report. It's true. My husband is trying to kill our daughter and frame me for it. If I hadn't swapped my daughter for this doll, she would have suffocated to death today. My husband, had this all planned out. He silenced my phone this morning so I couldn't get calls, claimed he was taking our daughter to school, but then, after I left for work, he put the child in my car, then, timing it so he thought she would have suffocated. He and the nanny started blaming me. Evan denied it. He said he didn't take the child to school. I had the police search his car right away. Inside was the voice recorder I'd secretly slipped in when I went out to buy fried dough sticks that morning. When I played it back, I could hear Daisy humming a tune, asking her dad to pick her up from school a little early, but then Evan said, "Daisy, how about we skip school today?" Daisy was puzzled, "But Dad, didn't you say good kids shouldn't play hooky?" "It's okay, it's Daisy's birthday today, so we won't be going. Daddy will take you to find Mommy." "All right." Daisy was overjoyed. Little did she know, her father actually intended to lead her to her death. The onlookers listened quietly, staring at Evan in confusion, and soon a murmur of discussion broke out. I then went back to my car and retrieved the voice recorder from under the seat. I heard Evan say, "Daisy, how about we play a game of hide-and-seek with Mommy?" My daughter clapped her hands with delight, giggling as she agreed. "Then you hide in Mommy's car, Daisy, and wait for her to find you." After getting his daughter's reply, Evan made a call to Mrs. May, but this time, the first word out of his mouth was Mom, I've already put Daisy in Claire's car, get ready and come over in an hour. You really need to get into the right emotional state, drink plenty of water so you don't run out of tears when the time comes. Hearing this, I paused the recording. "Mrs. May," she asked, "care to explain why Evan calls you Mom?" Mrs. May's face turned deathly pale, her lips trembling, unable to utter a word. Evan quickly explained, "Claire, it's just that Mrs. May has been so incredibly kind to us, like a real mother. That's why I started calling her Mom." "Oh, really? Then why didn't you call her that when I was around? Why wait until I was gone to start?" Evan put on a wounded expression again. I was just worried you'd be upset. I looked down and pulled up a text message on my phone. Why would I be upset? Because she's your mistress's mother. The text message I received was a transaction alert from Evan's supplementary credit card. Normally, I wouldn't pay any attention to what he spent his money on, but today, when I got the transaction alert on my phone, he was clearly in the parking lot. In that instant, I realized someone else was using his card. 5. The charge was from Silvercrest Mall. My best friend happens to be an accountant there, so I asked her to look into it. She found the card was used to buy a crib, a stroller, and a lot of baby clothes. There was so much stuff that the woman who used the card requested home delivery. My best friend followed the address and looked into it, discovering that the woman's name was Mina. The moment I heard that name, I immediately connected it to Mrs. May, because when Mrs. May first came to my house, I overheard her talking to Evan and mentioning her daughter, whose name was Mina. However, Mrs. May had never once mentioned this daughter to me. That's when I realized Mina must be Evan's mistress. I showed the police the transaction records on my phone for them to photograph. Officers, please, you have to find this Mina woman right away. She was definitely involved in planning this. Also, I need you to help me get evidence of her affair and cohabitation with my husband, now. Thinking back carefully, it dawned on me that Evan was away on business far too often. I never gave it much thought before, all because of Mrs. May. She had everything running so smoothly at home that I never felt the inconvenience of Evan's absence, and so the whole matter slipped my mind. One of the officers set out on this assignment. When Mrs. May and Evan tried to send a WeChat message to alert Mina, someone in the crowd knocked the phone right out of their hands. The phone screen shattered. The police officer glanced at it but said nothing. Evan demanded that the police deal with the person who had broken his phone. The officer snorted, "We'll deal with that minor issue later. First, let's get your own story straight." At the officer's signal, I turned the voice recorder back on. After calling Mrs. May, Evan left Daisy alone in the car and got out. Within seconds, Daisy began to cry. "Daddy, I'm so hot. Daddy, come get me, please." Daisy doesn't want to play hide and seek anymore. But no one answered her. The crowd was in an uproar, everyone shouting curses at Evan. "Are you even human? You left your daughter in the car. Can't you hear her crying? Doesn't that break your heart? This man's playing a long game. He gets rid of his daughter, frames his wife, waits for her to go to prison so he can inherit her money, and then runs off to live the good life with his mistress. What a despicable, underhanded scheme." I knew it. He was just dawdling. His daughter was trapped in the car, and all he did was go on about how awful his wife was, instead of trying to save her. Exactly, and he claimed he didn't have the keys, but when we tried to smash the window, he stopped us. Hearing that, I breathed a sigh of relief. He can't bear to part with it, because when I bought this car, I registered it under his name. The whole room erupted in an uproar. Didn't he say he had no standing in the family, but the car is clearly in his name? It seems his wife still loves him dearly, but he's got a wicked heart. I think he's the real one with a preference for sons over daughters. The truth was right before their eyes. Evan and Mrs. May were so scared they tried to make a run for it, but they were surrounded by a dense crowd outside, with no way to escape. They hired all these people themselves. Talk about shooting yourself in the foot. Meanwhile, the police officers sent to find Mina called back shortly after. Mina has admitted that she is Mrs. May's daughter. The police are taking Evan and Mrs. May in for questioning. Before getting into the police car, Evan still wanted to salvage his image. He asked me through tears where his daughter was. The concerned onlookers were also worried about my Daisy, so I made a phone call. Soon, my assistant arrived with Daisy. When she saw me, Daisy ran over with a big smile and threw her arms around me. "Mommy, you're so good at this. I hid in your car and you found me right away, but when you hid, Aunt Sophie and I looked for you forever and couldn't find you." She glanced at her dad and the nanny. "Oh, so Mommy came to find Daddy and Nanny. No wonder I couldn't find you." Evan's mouth fell open. Daisy waved at him. "Daddy, where are you going? I thought we were going to Disneyland." Evan flushed with guilt. "You go with Mommy today, sweetie. Daddy and Grandma may have something to take care of, so I can't make it." Daisy looked crestfallen. "Okay, Dad, I won't eat the cake tonight. I'll wait for you and Grandma May to come back, and then we can sing Happy Birthday and blow out the candles together." The onlookers let out a collective sigh of pity. What a sweet child. How could her father do such a thing to her? Daisy didn't really understand what was being said. She simply blew a kiss to her departing father and said, "Daddy, Daisy loves you." The police cracked the case very quickly. Mina was Evan's first love, but back then, Evan's family was too poor. Mina looked down on him, and they broke up. Later, after I gave birth to Daisy, Evan went to the labor market to find a nanny and discovered Mina's mother, Mrs. May. That's when we found out Mina's father had cancer. The treatment cost a fortune. They had to sell their house and land and were left saddled with debt, out of a sense of old loyalty. Evan brought Mrs. May back, since we paid well and I treated Mrs. May kindly. She was quite dutiful at first, but gradually, she began to feel resentful. In her mind, the family's money must always come from the man, so she believed Evan was now very capable. So, she started creating opportunities for Mina and Evan to spend time together. Before long, Evan was completely smitten. Mina initially claimed she wanted nothing, but after Evan gave her a credit card to spend freely, her demands grew increasingly extravagant. Eventually, she became pregnant with Evan's child and told him she was carrying a boy. Evan has always favored sons over daughters, and on top of that, I made it clear to him that I wouldn't have a second child after Daisy, so his allegiance shifted to Mina, after countless rounds of scheming. The three of them hatched this flawless, sinister plan. They planned to smother the daughter, pin the blame on me, then incite online mobs to cyberbully my parents, even to the point of having them killed. I'm my parents' only daughter. That way, all of my family's assets would end up being his. In this life, since Daisy didn't suffer any actual harm, Evan can't be considered guilty of intentional murder. But the online community wasn't having it. Countless citizens filed a joint petition demanding severe punishment for the three of them. Later, after deliberation, the judges concluded they had the intent to kill. The only reason the consequences weren't more severe was because I had replaced Daisy with a doll. In the end, the court sentenced each of them to 3 years. However, Mina was pregnant, so the execution had to be postponed until after she gave birth and completed the breastfeeding period. I subsequently filed a lawsuit against Mina, demanding that she return all the money Evan had spent on her. It was only then that Mina realized Evan was nothing like the successful man he claimed to be. He was just a social climber from a humble background. Mina quickly realized that if she had the baby, she and Evan simply couldn't afford to raise it, so she went ahead with the termination. The terminated fetus was, indeed, a boy. Because she had undergone the procedure, Mina was no longer pregnant. After she completed her postpartum recovery, the police took her away to serve her sentence. When I told Evan in prison that Mina had aborted a baby boy, a flicker of regret passed over his face, but he quickly hid it. He pleaded desperately, "Claire, Mina seduced me." I lost my head for a moment. "Please, can you forgive me just this once? Don't worry, I'll never think about having a son again. Daisy is the only daughter I'll ever need. If not for me, then think about our daughter. She can't grow up without a father." I slammed the divorce papers down on the table. "Daisy is better off with no father at all than with a heartless monster like you who wanted her dead." Stepping out of the prison, my daughter and the assistant were playing hopscotch outside the main gate. I went over and joined them for a while. The prison loomed behind us, yet our laughter continued. The past may have been dark, but I believe my daughter and I have a bright future ahead. Story 2. A zombie outbreak occurred, and I got trapped in an infinite loop. Every time the supplies ran out, I tried my best to end my life painlessly, but as soon as I opened my eyes, I would still return to the day when the zombie outbreak happened, until I entered the 30th loop. God thought I was too unlucky and gave me a system. The system told me that I would get extra rewards for killing each zombie, including supplies and combat power. With the help of this system, while others were being chased by zombies, I was chasing after the zombies. I even threw those who robbed my supplies in my previous life into the horde of zombies. Finally, relying on the rewards from the system, I successfully got a villa by the sea after the end of the apocalypse. 1. My name is Jade. Now I have both good news and bad news. The good news is that I was reborn. The bad news is that this is the 28th time I've been reborn, and it's still 1 hour after the zombie outbreak. Let's go back to the beginning. A patient escaped from a mental asylum. After the patient escaped, he bit people everywhere on the street. Since he was wearing a hospital gown and acting crazy, those who were bitten just considered themselves unlucky, treated their wounds on their own, and didn't take it seriously. That night, those who were bitten underwent a transformation. Those at home bit and killed all their family members, and those outside started chasing and biting pedestrians. Among those who were bitten, except for those who were left as nothing but a skeleton, all of them mutated. The mutated people lost their consciousness and sense of pain. Even if their arms were cut off, they would still chase and bite people. However, their sense of taste and hearing were extremely sensitive. This phenomenon immediately made people think of zombies. The news of the zombie outbreak spread like wildfire. The internet was flooded with videos of zombies biting people. This incident was soon highly regarded by the local government. The local area was sealed off, and the videos were taken down. Nevertheless, many people still knew about it. For a while, people were in a panic, and there were all kinds of speculations, but soon everyone realized that if there was really a zombie outbreak, the most important thing was food. For a while, small supermarkets closed their doors directly, and large supermarkets were crowded with people, of course. I was also among the crowd stockpiling goods. I spent a whole week stockpiling supplies. At first, I could only get some snacks. After all, everyone wanted to survive and they all rushed to the staple food area. Since I couldn't compete with them, I took advantage of the situation and stocked up on some snacks in the area that not many people paid attention to. But for 2 or 3 days, there were no accidents or news reported. so the number of people going to the supermarket to stockpile goods decreased, and small supermarkets gradually opened their doors again. However, my stockpiling behavior never stopped because I was afraid of death, from just a little bit of snacks at the beginning to coming back fully loaded in the following days. I even read various zombie novels and found someone to install solar panels. I didn't stop until I filled an empty room, just the day after I stopped stockpiling goods. The zombie outbreak happened, too. I had just finished writing a manuscript at 4 o'clock in the morning on this day and went to sleep. I didn't sleep for long before I was woken up by a lot of noise. The house I lived in was on the 7th floor near the north gate of the community, and since I had just moved in not long ago, I hadn't replaced the glass with double-layer soundproof glass, so I could still hear the sounds downstairs in the community quite clearly. I opened the window, and it was already in chaos downstairs. Everyone was running into the apartment building as if they had encountered something terrifying. As a longtime writer, I'm a bit nearsighted. I had just gotten up and didn't wear my glasses, so I couldn't see clearly. After finding my glasses and looking down again, I really wished I hadn't put on my glasses. People in the building were running back to their homes as fast as they could, and behind them, limping and chasing, were the zombies, not far away. There were also people who were tripped because they were running too fast, and they were just pounced on by the zombies chasing behind them. They were already being torn to pieces and covered in blood. The people who had turned into zombies were not as terrifying as those in zombie novels, except that their eyes and skin were grayish-white. They were no different from normal people. While I was in a daze, I quickly came to my senses from the shock and hurriedly checked the doors and windows of my house. Before, when reading zombie novels, I didn't expect that there would really be a zombie outbreak. Stockpiling supplies and installing solar panels were just for taking precautions in advance. I didn't replace all the glass, doors, and windows. After checking now, there was nothing serious. After making sure that the doors and windows were all right, I began to carefully take stock of the supplies. The supplies I had stockpiled before and the ones I bought after moving in could last me for more than half a year by myself. Until then, I wasn't very panicked. After all, the country's call to action has always been very strong. I thought it was just like the previous epidemic, and it would be fine after being under lockdown for a while. At first, things really went as I thought. The news soon reported on this zombie virus and claimed that this virus was also a national one. The known routes of infection so far were scratches and bites, and the policies given were to appeal to everyone not to go out and wait for national rescue. It was also stated that for this virus, the infected people had already lost their vital signs. If a family member was bitten or scratched, they needed to quarantine themselves for 24 hours. Also, for partners and relatives who had already mutated, even if you couldn't bring yourself to do anything, don't stay alone with the zombies. Everything was developing in the direction I had expected, but soon I was proven wrong. Half a month after the zombie outbreak, the internet was cut off. When I got up that day, I found that the last message on my phone was still from 1 o'clock in the morning the day before. It was already more than 2 o'clock in the afternoon when I woke up. Usually, the community group would already have 99 plus messages at this time. After fiddling around for more than an hour, I finally accepted the fact that the internet was cut off. As a web novelist, I originally made money through the internet. Now I had no way out. Then I completely gave up. Since I had installed solar panels, I wasn't affected in terms of electricity use, but without the internet, my already disordered daily routine became even more chaotic. I usually stayed up late to write, and most of the rest of the time I was sleeping. Now that I didn't need to write and there were no dramas to watch, my sleeping time was actually less than before. Coupled with the fear brought by the zombie virus, I started overeating. The supplies that were originally expected to last for half a year were now almost gone in just 4 months. During this period, I didn't wait for any rescue or supplies. A week later, even though I had reduced my food intake, the supplies were all used up, as usual. I turned on my phone, and there was still no signal. All the food at home had been eaten up. I grew up in an orphanage, and now there's no one I really care about. I had been trying to save food for a week and hadn't been full at all. In the past 2 days, there was almost nothing to eat, and I was already too weak from hunger. Later, I really couldn't stand this apocalyptic world. Looking at the zombies downstairs, I committed suicide. I thought there would be no future, but unexpectedly, when I opened my eyes, I was reborn. Looking at my waist and arms that were much thinner than before I committed suicide, I still had a sense of unreality. At that time, I thought that in my previous life, I didn't hold out until the army's rescue because I overate too much. Since I knew this now, I was going to be more careful and plan things out. I reasonably planned my daily food intake and water use, thinking that I would definitely be able to hold out until the army's rescue. So 206 days later, I committed suicide again. After being reborn again, I just thought I was lucky and was the chosen one. I still held the idea of waiting for the army's rescue and lived frugally. Another 238 days later, I committed suicide again. After being reborn again, I realized that I might be trapped in a loop. This time, I started to live very frugally and tried to live as long as possible. Until 254 days later, without waiting for any rescue, I committed suicide again, this time. I started to give up on myself and overeat just like the first time. Later, I cycled 18 times in 2 completely different ways. The fastest time I only lived for 3 months, and the longest time I held out for 270 days. But without exception, I didn't wait for the rescue or the restoration of the signal. After I committed suicide for the 18th time, I decided it was time to make a change. So when I entered the 19th loop, I stepped out of the door. I thought that in the early stage of the zombie outbreak, while the number of zombies was not large, I could go out and look for a way to survive. I didn't dare to take the elevator, fearing that I would encounter zombies as soon as the door opened, so I took the stairs downstairs. As a result, just after going down 2 floors, I was pounced on and bitten to death by a zombie. This way of dying was the most painful. I didn't recover for several days after being reborn. The pain was something I had never imagined. Then I gave up a few more times, until the 26th loop. I deliberately went out at a different time from when I was bitten last time. This time, I successfully walked to the gate of the community. I was bitten to death by 5 or 6 zombies together. This time it was even more painful than last time. After committing suicide and giving up again, I entered the 28th loop. This time, I was going to make a good plan, after all, according to the current situation. I couldn't die. If I ate normally, the supplies would only last me for half a year at most, and my biggest advantage now is that after I die, I will return to 1 hour after the zombie outbreak, although I don't want this advantage myself. After all, it hurts a bit every time I commit suicide, and besides, I've already eaten the stockpiled supplies 27 times, for I spent a week reading all kinds of survival books. But in the end, I still couldn't come up with a perfect plan, after all. There's no such unlucky person like me who returns to 1 hour after the zombie outbreak every time they're reborn, right? The most urgent thing now is to figure out how I can end this loop. At present, it seems that I can't end it with my own ability. Now I can only place my hopes on others. As for how to get in touch with others, I'm really in a dilemma. I do have the community group, but in the dozens of previous loops, I never contacted them even once, in the first life. It was because I was afraid of death. After all, after the news of the zombie outbreak spread, most people stocked up on supplies, but there were still few people like me who stocked up on enough supplies to last for half a year. Things really turned out as I thought. 2 months after the zombie outbreak, many people fought fiercely for a little food. If I hadn't been writing at home all the time and there were not many households living in my building, and my presence was low, I would probably have been targeted too, but the power of one person is always limited. I still need to find a way to band together for mutual support. Looking at my weak body, I decided to do some exercise. This time, I would make good use of the loop and exercise. The treadmill I bought before had already gathered a layer of dust because I hadn't used it, resignedly. I started to exercise and planned a reasonable diet for each meal. This time, I finished the supplies in less than 5 months. During this period, through exercise, my physical fitness and sensitivity were far beyond what others could compare with. I feel that now if I were to fight 2 or 3 zombies, I would have a pretty good chance of winning. However, because someone had gone out to look for supplies before, the gate of the community was damaged, and there were already hordes of zombies downstairs. After thinking it over, it didn't matter if I did it one more time, so I committed suicide again, in the 29th loop, probably because of the exercise in the previous loop. This time the training was more effective with less effort. 2 days before the internet was cut off, I went out and cleared the zombies in the corridor a little bit. Then, for the first time in so many loops, I spoke in the community group, me. Is there anyone who wants to go out and look for supplies together? I've got the news that the internet will be cut off in 2 days, and the country can't take care of us ordinary people for the time being. While the number of zombies is not too large these 2 days, we should go out and look for supplies as soon as possible. B building, room 301, don't talk nonsense upstairs. How could the country give up on us? C building, room 702, that's right. Our country has always been united and friendly. How could it not care about us? Me. I didn't say that the country has given up on us. I just said that in the current situation, the country can't take care of us for the time being. I believe that everyone has also heard the rumors before and stocked up on some supplies, but these things are limited after all. They're not enough to last for a long time. The reason I suggest going out to look for supplies is just for the long term. The number of zombies now is not very large. If we really wait until there are hordes of zombies, it will be too late to say anything. C building, room 702. Why should we believe you? What if something bad happens to us when we go out to search for supplies with you today? Can you take the responsibility? D building, room 1301. That's right. I agree with the resident of C building, room 702. What if we go out today and the rescue team comes tomorrow? How unfair that would be for us. C building, room 902, is there anyone willing to sell supplies? The price is negotiable. B building, room 601, I have supplies in my hand, but even if I want to sell them, I can't. There are zombies in the corridor and downstairs. They're really stupid. Now that there's still the internet, the legal order hasn't completely collapsed yet. Once the internet is cut off and the public can't see any hope, the social order will collapse. In the previous few lifetimes, there seemed to be someone who was robbed in their home. They're really stupid. Finally, I said that those who were willing to go out could add me on WeChat, and then I left the group chat. 5. After speaking in the group, only 3 people added me. Then I immediately created a group. To my surprise, one of them was from the same building as me. Group chat content, me. I've got the exact news that the internet will be cut off the day after tomorrow, and the power will be cut off next week. Moreover, the authorities can't take care of us ordinary people now. We need to stockpile supplies for at least a year. C building, room 1502. Where did you get this news? Me. You don't have to worry about that. If you're willing to go with me, just trust me. E building, room 902. Then how do we go out now? D building, room 601. That's right. There are also quite a few zombies in the corridor now. How can we go out is a problem. Me. At E building, room 902. I'm a resident of room 701, building E. I've cleared the zombies below the 7th floor. Now the zombies are almost like people, and the number of zombies in the corridor is not large. It's easy to kill them with a little effort. D building, room 601. That's what you say, but the zombie virus is so infectious. What should we do if we're scratched? Me. The zombie virus isn't transmitted through breathing. Don't you have scarves or gloves at home? Except for one being rational and the other not. Zombies are no different from ordinary people. They haven't turned into giants. Just wear slightly thicker clothes and cover your whole body well, and there won't be any problem. Resident of C building, room 1502. It's relatively easy to get out of the residential building in the community, but how do we get outside? Me. Don't any of you have a car? As far as I know, the housing prices in our community aren't cheap. You can't all not have a car, right? Resident of C building, room 1502. Oh, you're right, haha. Resident of D building, room 601. Then where do we go to look for supplies? Me. I've thought about it. Those large warehouse-type supermarkets definitely won't work. There are a lot of people, and various areas are also quite scattered. We can go to several small supermarkets or 24-hour convenience stores nearby. Just so happens that there are 4 of us, at that time. 2 people will keep watch, and 2 people will load the vehicle. When we're equipped and go to the next supermarket, we'll change the other 2 people to keep watch. Moreover, there are a lot of people in the community, and people's hearts are unpredictable. When we come back, we should try to park the car in the underground garage and then carry the things upstairs. Resident of E building, room 902. Okay, since you've planned everything, I'll follow you. Resident of D building, room 601. I'll follow you too. Resident of C building, room 1502. I don't have any problems either, but can I bring my neighbor with me? He has a RV. Me. You can discuss this among yourselves. Just don't cause trouble when you go out. Resident of C building, room 1502. Okay, then I'll discuss it with him later. Me. Since that's the case, let's meet at the gate of the community at 9 o'clock tomorrow. Those who arrive early wait downstairs for half an hour. If the others still haven't arrived, just set off on your own. 6. Since the zombies downstairs had been cleared once before, it didn't take much effort to clear them again. However, the weather in September was still a bit hot, and the thick sportswear I was wearing was really hot. I went out at 8:30. I only encountered 7 or 8 zombies when I just came out of the unit building. Unfortunately, the knife was too short, and it was a bit strenuous to chop off their heads. After waiting for almost half an hour, at 9:40, the other people arrived, driving 4 cars. The resident of room 1502 should have persuaded his neighbor. This RV was really big, judging by eye. It was about 4 or 5 meters long and about 2 to 3 meters wide. I estimated that to fill this vehicle, we would have to go to several more places. First, we went to several nearby small supermarkets. Maybe the supermarket owners reacted quickly, or maybe they hadn't had time to open the doors. These supermarkets were all closed. Then we went to several 24-hour convenience stores. There were 4 or 5 zombies wandering inside. We dealt with them together and then started loading the vehicles. Finally, it seemed that the cars of several people could be filled in at most 2 trips. Only the RV of room 1501 still wasn't full after loading 3 convenience stores. The other 2 people were not happy. Resident of room 902. Do we still need to look for more? His vehicle probably needs 2 more small supermarkets. It's enough for a long time of living. We've helped him load 3 times. We have no obligation to help him with the remaining space, right? Resident of room 601. That's right. It's not that we don't want to team up with you. It's really that moving things up and down the stairs is also physical work. Resident of room 1502. Didn't we all agree at the beginning to go out and come back together? At first, we loaded your things first, and we didn't have any objections at all. Resident of room 902, what are you butting in for? We're talking about him, not you. You brought this person. Maybe he gave you some benefits, but he has nothing to do with us and doesn't bring us any benefits. We've done our best to help up to this point, anyway. I'm not doing it anymore. Resident of room 601, I'm leaving first too. Take care, you two. Seeing someone taking the lead, I left too. After all, everyone for themselves, and the devil take the hindmost. But that's where things took a turn. My car was a 7-seater SUV, so I could load more things than others. After going back and forth more than a dozen times, just as I was about to finish moving, suddenly there was a pain in my neck. A warm liquid spurted out from my neck when I fell. I was still conscious and clearly saw that the person who killed me was the resident of room 902. He took the knife used to kill zombies and slit my throat. Before my consciousness dissipated, I could still feel that he took the key to my house. Don't blame me, little sister. The things in the convenience store are all snacks and can't last long. You also said that the internet will be cut off soon. It will be difficult to go out next time. So I can only rob you. Was I really the stupid one? People always say that villains die because they talk too much. I haven't done anything bad. If he wanted to kill me, he should have done it earlier. He even made me move things back and forth so many times. How heartless. 7. Well, after being busy for a long time, as soon as I opened my eyes, I was back at the starting point again. God, you have no heart. Jade, I'm really extremely unlucky to be in this loop all the time, experiencing all kinds of ways to die. Sorry, host. You're wrong to think that way. The person who can have a system and be in a loop has been determined through layers of screening. You weren't originally the determined host. If it weren't for my mistake, you should have died when you committed suicide for the first time. What the hell? What system or not? Hello, host. I'm your end of the world system 001. End of the world system 001. Yes, host. Congratulations on successfully pronouncing my code name correctly. Now the system is successfully bound. Is this a scammer? The binding is so hasty. Host, it's not right for you to think that way. How can you say that the system is a scammer? I'm the first end of the world system developed by the great main system. You can even hear what I'm thinking. Yes, host, once bound, we are one. So I know exactly what you're thinking. Damn it, is there no human rights? What kind of crappy system is this? Host, if you insult this system again, this system can give you an electric shock as punishment. Damn it, I'm not even allowed to talk. DD, detecting the host's rejection of the system, electric shock punishment will be given. Now executing. What the hell? Are you out of your mind or is there a system malfunction? What on earth are you? Didn't this system already say that I'm the end of the world system 001? Then why didn't I bind the system in so many previous times? Well, host. The person originally selected by the main system to bind the system wasn't you, but because the end of the world broke out just as the system was successfully developed, the system was also decomposed during delivery. The loop function was accidentally bound to you, and that's what happened before, so I've been in this loop because of you. Of course, if it weren't for the system, you would have died long ago. How could you have lived until now? Are you saying that I should thank you? Otherwise, detecting insults to the system, executing electric shock punishment. Stop. Besides punishing me, do you have any other uses? Also, how can I unbind from you and how can I get out of this loop? Once bound, it cannot be unbound. As for the loop, because the host was too disappointing before and wasted too many loops, this is the last loop now. Is it really the last time? Yes, host, this is the last loop. If you die in this loop, you will be erased by the main system. Erased. What does that mean? In your words here, it means your soul will be scattered. Are you kidding me? Before you came to me, I was just experiencing all kinds of ways to die. If I died again, I would just be reincarnated. But now that you're here, you want to make my soul be scattered, mainly because the host is too weak. Who would have thought you were so useless? I was damaged during delivery, just as I repaired myself and found you. You were almost dead. What do you mean almost dead? How does your system talk? Anyway, if you die one more time, you'll be erased. Isn't that almost dead? Are you trying to me? What use are you to me? This system is very useful, but you, not only are you weak, but you're also not good looking. I heard from the retired system predecessors before that their hosts were beautiful and cool, and extremely powerful. I, as a good woman, won't argue with your crappy system. Then tell me what use you are exactly. Also, if I survive until the end of the world this time, will I not be erased? Yes, host, as long as you successfully survive until the end of the world, you can end the loop, live a normal life, and be reincarnated. What do you mean by survive? I rely on my own ability. Okay, and you? Quickly tell me what use you are exactly. 8. As an end of the world system. Of course the system gives rewards by killing zombies. What kind of rewards? Now there's an end of the world gift package. You only need to kill one zombie to get it, but the contents are unknown. Accumulate 20 zombies killed to unlock a luxury lunch every day. And get rewards by analogy. The host can check in the mall panel by himself. Newbie gift package can be unlocked with only one zombie killed. Daily luxury lunch unlocked by killing 20 zombies in total. Accumulate 100 zombies killed to unlock a super strong battle vehicle. After that, there are some large items. For example, killing 500 zombies to get the permanent property rights of a seaside villa. Even more, killing 1,000 zombies to get the zombie virus potion. System. Is this zombie virus potion what I think it is? Yes, host. The zombie virus potion is the antibody to the zombie virus. With this, you won't attract zombies anymore, and you won't mutate even if you're scratched or bitten, alas. But even if I have this, it won't be of much use to me. I don't have access to more high-level people. The host doesn't need to worry about this. After the host gets it, you can choose who to give it to by yourself. That's great. But killing 1,000 zombies is too many. Can it be discounted? Sorry, host, this system doesn't have such a condition. 9. I opened the door and found the zombie that bit me before. Good, lucky zombie. It's you. I quickly, firmly, and accurately chopped off the zombie's head, and the system prompt sounded. Congratulations, host, for getting the newbie gift package. You can click on the mall to claim it yourself. Then a screen appeared in my mind, similar to a glorified mall board. With my consciousness, I controlled the arrow to open the newbie gift package. The mechanical prompt sound of the system rang in my mind. Congratulations, host, for getting a physical enhancement potion and a newbie weapon package. How do I use these? The host just needs to choose to use them. I controlled the arrow to click use, and then I could easily feel the changes in my body, if I was a weakling due to long-term riding before. Then my current ability is probably like that of a fierce fighter. I can punch a bunch of zombies. I opened the newbie weapon package just like before, and a big machete came out. Well, although it might be very convenient, with my delicate and weak appearance, it really doesn't match. System's inner thought. Just now you wanted to punch a bunch of zombies, but now you're being delicate and weak again, thinking that killing 20 zombies would get a luxury lunch. I went downstairs and hacked around. At a little afternoon, I killed 20 zombies. I quickly went home and opened the mall panel. There was a task completed sign on the luxury lunch option. I clicked to claim it, and a large portion of spicy hot pot appeared in front of me. Woohoo. After 30 loops, I can finally eat something different. After eating, I started to think about future plans. With the physical enhancement potion provided by the system, it's really easy to kill 1,000 zombies now. But now that it's just the beginning of the end of the world, if I kill zombies so recklessly, it will definitely be too eye-catching. So what should I do during this period? In my previous life, I went out to look for supplies and worked hard to move things for a long time. Just when I was almost done, the person in room 902 slit my throat. I just can't swallow this anger. Just as I was thinking about whether to go upstairs and directly kill the person in room 902. The system prompt sounded in my mind. Alarm, alarm, detecting the host's tendency to kill. A warning is hereby issued. If there is a next time, electric shock punishment will be directly implemented. Why can't I kill him? Host, this is a law-abiding society. Killing is illegal. Why didn't you say killing was illegal when he killed me? Cough cough. Because this system isn't bound to him, so I can't control him. If I can't kill him, can I turn him into a zombie and then kill him? This time the system didn't make a sound, so I took it as a default. I didn't want to make it too complicated. I directly ran upstairs and knocked on the door. Coincidentally, there was still some zombie blood on the knife. I couldn't waste it. I knocked for a long time, and finally the person inside opened the door. Resident of room 902, are you here to save me? For a whole week, I've been stocking up, while talking. I exerted force with my hand and directly pushed the person into the house and closed the door. I'm here to send you to hell. First, I dislocated his arms and legs, and then I made a few non-fatal cuts on his body. After making sure that the zombie blood came into contact with the wounds, I waited on the nearby sofa for him to mutate. After the person turned into a zombie, I chopped off his head and then went home to slack off. I slacked off for a whole month before starting to hunt zombies. However, even after killing all the zombies near the community, there were only less than 700, so in the end, I had to drive out to find zombies to kill. This time, finally, 2 months after the zombie outbreak, I killed enough to reach 1,000 zombies. After redeeming the zombie virus potion in the mall, I directly asked the system to send it to the people in the relevant department. From then on, I completely slacked off at home. By the way, I also filled in the plot holes I had left before and finished the works that needed to be concluded. I'm looking forward to visiting my big seaside villa after the end of the apocalypse. Extra story 1. On this day, the staff in the research institute were going about their usual work. While studying the latest situation of the zombie virus, they found a bottle of potion on the table. Seeing the words zombie virus potion pasted on it, they asked around but couldn't find out who had put it there. Finally, by checking the surveillance cameras, they found that this thing had just appeared out of nowhere. Later, through experiments, they discovered that it was an antibody to the zombie virus, which could inhibit the spread of the zombie virus. After various experiments, they successfully replicated this potion. It was then put into use, and the first batch of the finished product was used on the search and rescue team. After the last zombie in Asia was shot dead, the potion was permanently sealed. Extra story 2. One day after the zombie crisis ended, the end of the world system 001 had also returned to the main system, and I moved into the big seaside villa. I have to say, this big villa is really huge. Jade, who had just moved to the seaside, was so bored that she simply started a live stream. Hello, everyone, I'm Jade. I've filled in all the plot holes that hadn't been completed. I won't be writing today. Instead, I'm going to show you all how to go beachcombing. Story 2. When the zombie outbreak occurred, everyone in our squad developed supernatural abilities, except for me. The manipulative girl in our group called me a burden and instigated others to leave me behind in a crowd of zombies as she ran off with my childhood friend turned boyfriend. However, I suddenly realized that it wasn't that I lacked abilities. My ability was just incredibly extraordinary. 01, 2 weeks prior. The zombie outbreak coincided with our photography club's team building day. The food was ready, but not everyone had arrived when the zombies started their rampage. Hearing the continuous screams outside, the 6 of us hid in a private room, barricading the door with tables and chairs. We survived the first 2 days on the food stored there. On the 3rd day, my boyfriend, along with the other guys, went out to look for food and unexpectedly discovered they had evolved abilities of speed and strength. Consequently, the club's room was filled all day with flattery about him. Eric, you're so incredible. Eric, what would we do without you? I felt nauseated by the sycophancy but couldn't prevent people from expressing their gratitude. Eric, on the other hand, appeared blissfully unaware of the undertones, seemingly enjoying the attention. Over time, a couple of other members also began to evolve. Protected by our evolved teammates, we left the private room and made our way back to the school. The school had long been overrun. Zombies roamed the playground, dorms, and cafeteria, many of whom were our familiar teachers and classmates. We found refuge in the teacher's office building, which had the fewest zombies. Posters were everywhere, directing to a human base. In the principal's office, we found a letter. Whoever you are, if you find this letter, please join us at the human base. The day after the zombie outbreak, survivors from our school, along with various technical experts, were evacuated by the military to establish a human base in City A. If you see this message, please come and join us. The letter also shared some information brought by the military personnel who helped them. The zombie outbreak was triggered by a sudden burst of an unknown energy that all living things absorb independently. Depending on the individual's physical constitution, some absorbed this energy faster and evolved various abilities, mostly related to speed and strength. The first zombies were transformed from corpses that absorbed this energy, making morgues the initial hotspots of the outbreak. Under the influence of this mysterious energy, these zombies resurrected into creatures that only bite. Once bitten, a person would turn into a zombie. Fortunately, no zombies with particularly fast speeds or great strength have been discovered yet. Even evolved humans, once bitten, turn into ordinary zombies, and there have been no cases of animal mutations so far. After reading the letter, we sat down on the floor, staring blankly. We had thought returning to school would mean safety, which motivated us to take the risk of coming back. However, it turned out the survivors had already relocated. After a moment of stunned silence, Eric broke the silence. Let's go to City A. There are 3 of us with abilities among the 6. We should be able to make it there. Eric, my childhood friend and boyfriend, was also the president of the photography club. Besides us, there were 2 other guys and 2 girls. I wasn't very familiar with them, but the one who stood out the most was Lucy. Incredibly spoiled from a young age, every time we went out, she would act coquettishly to have the other guys carry her equipment. She was also very sweet talking to the girls, always calling them sister. Though she hadn't produced much work in over a year in the club, she was quite popular. Upon hearing Eric's suggestion, Lucy immediately agreed. Yes, let's head to the base. Eric will surely succeed in getting us there. She always added bro after calling Eric's name, making it sound like she was saying Eric bro, which felt awkward to me every time I heard it. However, Eric explained to me, that's just how Lucy is. She's younger, and she calls everyone in the club with a bro or sis. That made sense, and besides, Eric had been following me around since he was just a little kid, so I wasn't worried about anyone coming between us. The rest of the team had no objections, and as his girlfriend, I naturally supported Eric's decisions, so we decided to get ready and set off the next day. First, we found a map and then went to the supermarket to gather food. In our group, Eric took the role of the leader. Being the club president, he had significant leadership skills and was the only one among the 6 of us who had dual enhancements in both speed and strength, so we unanimously decided to have him continue leading us. I acted like the strategist, responsible for planning the routes, combining the local maps to City A, current road conditions, and zombie situations. I mapped out the most reasonable route. The other 2 guys included one who was enhanced with strength, and another who, though not yet evolved, was a track team member and nearly matched another girl in speed who had speed enhancements. Lucy, even though she had no special powers, was beautiful and had a sweet voice. In Eric's words, she played a role in unifying the team. We had been walking for 2 weeks already. Where possible, we drove. Where not, we walked. Up until last week, everyone except me had developed some kind of special ability. Others had either speed or strength enhancements, and as time went on, their abilities grew stronger. Eric was a rare dual ability holder, and Lucy was even more impressive. Her ability was healing, although every time she healed someone, their abilities and her own healing powers would weaken. They would gradually recover over time. Because of the unique nature of her healing ability, Lucy somewhat saw herself as a savior of the world and started looking down on me. Every day she would say things like, "Sis, although you haven't been much help, don't worry. We won't abandon you, sis, even though you don't have any abilities. We're a team, and we will protect you, sis. Just don't feel like you are dragging us down. Alright, everyone is so incredible, and I'm the only useless one here. I sometimes feel like I can't hold my head up in the team. I thought it was just my bad luck, having a low evolution rate. But then we found out that nearly only 1% of all humanity had evolved. What? In our team, the evolution rate was 5 out of 6. And I was that unfortunate 1 out of 6. For some reason, our team attracted zombies like a magnet, and whenever there were 2 groups of people, the zombies would definitely chase us first, and I, having no abilities to defend myself, was always the primary target. Several times, we only survived thanks to their fierce fighting. I also tried using weapons against the zombies, but it seemed like the evolved members had some kind of suppressive effect over the zombies. While the zombies normally attacked them, they seemed to become frenzied when targeting me, bursting with 3 to 4 times the strength. Gradually, there were murmurs in the team that I was a burden. Eric didn't say much, seemingly accepting this as fact. I felt a bit wronged. Others might not understand. But Eric should know that I wasn't just sitting idle. Since I couldn't contribute much in fighting zombies, I thought I'd put more effort into support. For example, a few days ago, I noticed that a horde of zombies was on a path that would cross ours. Although our team was experienced in dealing with zombies, no one could escape if we encountered so many at once. I devised a new route that took us through a nearby town where we could rest and recuperate for 2 days, successfully avoiding a wave of zombies. However, my companions were unappreciative, dismissing it as just a detour. They believed that anyone could have planned it just by looking at a map, and in their eyes, I was still the weak link. Upon reaching the town, we discovered a pharmacy that had not yet been looted. Medicines were incredibly valuable now, as most pharmacies we had encountered along the way had been picked clean. This one was probably overlooked because it was tucked away in a corner of the town. After Eric and Lucy confirmed it was safe, we went inside to gather medicines. I grabbed box after box of medicines, not even bothering to look at them, just stuffing them into my bag. I usually took the lead in these mundane tasks. I couldn't handle fighting, but I made up for it by doing more of everything else. But then, I made a miscalculation, just as I cleared a shelf. A zombie suddenly burst out from behind a box and knocked me down. I quickly dodged to the side, and a shelving unit fell, trapping me against the wall in a triangular enclosure. With the zombie outside reaching in trying to grab me, Eric was about to save me when David, who was on lookout, suddenly shouted, "Hurry!" A large group of zombies from around the corner heard the noise and are coming this way. As Eric started to move towards me, Lucy stopped him, saying, "Eric, let's go. I saw that she's been bitten by a zombie. There's no saving her now." Me, confused face, which I of yours saw that. I was about to call out to Eric when Lucy suddenly embraced him from behind. "She's beyond saving. We've done all we can for her, and she's been holding us back for too long. Let's go. You still have me." And then, I was once again astounded by their actions, as if they had already decided I was a goner. Eric and the others lured about a dozen zombies that were chasing them into the pharmacy. While I distracted them, they quickly left and shut the pharmacy door, securing it with an iron rod across the handle. Throughout the ordeal of luring the zombies and closing the door, Eric never looked back at me, ignoring my calls for his name. I had a sinking feeling. It was Eric and Lucy who had checked the pharmacy, claiming it was safe. Now, It seemed this zombie had been deliberately left there by them. A single zombie was no threat to the others. It seemed it was specifically there for me. No, it was just me and a dozen zombies inside. I dared not make a sound and crouched in the corner, the zombies reaching for me through the shelving. The shelf was pushed over by them, and with a loud crash, there was nothing left between us. A zombie's gaping maw loomed before me, and I could smell the strong scent of blood. Then a voice rang out, "Stop, you idiots. If you hurt her, you'll get nothing." The zombies, hearing this voice, surprisingly stopped in their tracks. A dirty young man appeared from nowhere, removed the rod blocking the door, and opened it, walking towards me while muttering to the surrounding zombies, "Don't touch me, I'm with her." He reached for my hand and led me outside. The zombies seemed to want to follow us, but he turned and shouted something at them. I had many questions. Who is this man? Why did he save me? How could he communicate with the zombies? Was he referring to me when he said her? Did the zombies not want to harm me? It seemed impossible. All the zombies we had encountered so far had charged at me as if possessed. We reached a safe spot, and he collapsed to the ground, gasping for air, his forehead dripping with sweat. I had so many questions, but seeing him so exhausted, I couldn't bring myself to ask. Silently, I thought, this handsome guy seems a bit lacking in stamina, but it's as if he knew what I was thinking. Running while communicating with these zombies is really draining. Gradually, as I recovered, he explained how he ended up here and rescued me. My name is Elijah, and I've been following you for over 10 days now. That meant we were followed almost as soon as we started our journey. You should know that both zombies and people with special abilities are formed by absorbing a mysterious energy. Some absorb it faster, which leads to the development of various abilities. If zombies absorb too much of this energy, their bodies can recover and appear no different from ordinary humans. I'm particularly sensitive to this energy, so I noticed right away that you seem to have an influence on energy fluctuations, he continued. Simply put, around you, whether it's humans or zombies, the rate at which they absorb energy skyrockets. Haven't you noticed there are especially many people with abilities around you? That, I had noticed, but everyone in the team believed it was due to their unique talents, and I, unfortunately, was considered the only unlucky one. I originally wanted to observe you all to see if you were good people and then join you, but anyway, I noticed they harbored ill intentions towards you, so I cautiously followed along. And that's how I managed to luckily save you this time. Sighing, I asked, "What's your ability? Can you control zombies?" "It's not really about control, I can only communicate with them. What truly attracts them is your ability. They feel a closeness to you." Closeness. The thought of a zombie's foul, gaping mouth made me feel nauseous. I grimaced, "But it seems to me they just want to eat me. They mean you no harm. It's just that they lack rationality. When they see you, they only want to lick and touch you but don't understand that this can hurt you. So, is this also considered a kind of ability? Purely supportive. Yes, but what's wrong with being supportive? Don't sell yourself short. Without you, your team couldn't have made it this far with just the capabilities of the other 5. Plus, look how much the zombies like you. You attract them, and I'll help communicate with them. It's perfect. So, let's work together and head to the base." On the way, Elijah shared a lot about himself. Turns out, he didn't have any abilities when he first started following us. Then, after being surrounded by zombies one time and fainting from fright, he woke up to find he could communicate with zombies. You also had a strange encounter, normally, who faints from fear. Try being surrounded by over a dozen zombies. And not just surrounded, they even tore my clothes, he said while pulling at the tattered strips of his clothes, looking pitiful. I was so scared of losing track of you guys. I didn't even have time to find new clothes, I smiled. I've been surrounded too, but I didn't faint. Elijah, brother, no matter what, you owe me compensation. Why do you keep calling me sister? I picked it up from that green tea in your team. I found it works wonders. I gave him a noogie. Wonders my foot. Don't call me that. Tears welled up in his eyes as he looked at me pitifully. Sister, that hurts. If you keep copying that green tea, I'll throw you into a pile of zombies. Just stick with me from now on. And don't go back to your old team. You've been following us for so long. What else have you discovered? Let me play it for you. Saying this, Elijah pulled out a voice recorder. A sweet, affected voice came from the recorder. It was Lucy. "Having Sister Dylan with us is just a waste of food. If we go to the base, our team of superpowered individuals is bound to get noticed." But Sister Dylan, a boy interrupted. "Yeah, Eric. We had agreed to ditch her when we encountered a zombie horde." "So what now, Eric? Did you hear the broadcast? They said we superpowered individuals are national talents. Do you think it's appropriate for us, the nation's talents, to risk our lives to protect someone useless?" I knew some members of our team were growing increasingly proud of their abilities, but I hadn't realized they'd come to see themselves as so superior. Back when we were in a club together, I didn't notice anything problematic about their values. I have no idea what kind of delusions they've been fed. Don't blame Eric. He is the kindest person I've met, even though he has no feelings left for Sister Dylan. He can't bear to bring it up. It's disgusting, Eric said. We haven't had feelings for a long time. We just mistook friendship for love. We can't protect Sister Dylan forever. She needs to grow and face the zombies herself. If she can't overcome this, then it's just her fate. What kind of logic is that? You all know very well how Dylan usually treats everyone. A girl from the club spoke up for me. Her family wasn't well off, and after I found out, I had recommended several part-time jobs to her. I was grateful she spoke for me at that moment. A boy impatiently interrupted her. Forget about usual times. Just consider now. After the apocalypse, we've protected her so many times. We've done more than enough. Meanwhile, we're out struggling to find food, and she, just because she has no powers, she gets to stay comfortably in the camp. Why, don't forget, we avoided a zombie horde thanks to Dylan's route planning. Eric interrupted her. Enough. I kept her around only to use her as a distraction for the zombies in case we couldn't escape. Her planning this route was at best good luck that saved her own life, but it wasn't much help to us. Let's do as Lucy suggested. In a few days, I'll find an opportunity to test her. If she proves capable of keeping up with our team, then no one can complain. If she can't, then that's also fate, and if you keep nagging, you might as well join her. The girl didn't dare speak further. I couldn't believe these words came from Eric. Eric, who grew up with me and started pursuing me since high school, harbored such thoughts behind my back. I don't know if the apocalypse changed him, or if he was always like this, just because these people have some abilities. Do they think they're gods? Their so-called test was just to lock me up with zombies. It's no different from a death sentence. They just cloaked it in a seemingly noble excuse. If they had been upfront, I would have voluntarily left, parting on good terms, but I can't accept this method. I shudder to think, if Elijah hadn't suddenly appeared to save me, what would I have done? As Elijah said, zombies only like to be around me to absorb energy. They mean no harm, and they're even somewhat afraid of me. But since they always try to approach me, I could easily get hurt. If Elijah hadn't shown up, I would be a zombie by now. No, with my strange ability, perhaps even a zombie king. A slender hand turned off the recorder. Elijah's other hand rested on my shoulder. Wordless, Elijah looked at me worriedly for a long time before saying, I thought you'd be upset listening to this, but I had to let you see their true colors. You said earlier that their ability to generate powers comes from being around me and absorbing energy faster. Yes, and your team was originally supposed to have only 3 superpowered individuals. The other 2 who forcibly developed powers will gradually lose them if they stay away from you for too long, even the original 3, but you won't necessarily be able to protect yourself. You need to use it on yourself, too. These conversations and events unfolded uniquely, merging elements of survival, superpowers, and the undead into a thrilling narrative. Here is the translation. It will gradually revert to the average level, much worse than they are now. They're not that lucky, not lucky enough that each of them could mutate on their own and still be so powerful. Interesting, I smirked. Let's meet them at the human base. If they can make it there successfully. The immediate priority was to find clothes for Elijah. His clothes were tattered and torn, with several large holes. We decided to check out the clothing stores in this small town. Along the way, zombies kept following us. Although I knew they wouldn't harm us, it still felt odd. Elijah shooed them all away, keeping only 2 that looked smarter by his side. He was quite self-aware. Is this what they call borrowing the tiger's fierceness? Definitely, I agreed. Elijah casually picked out clothes, letting the 2 zombie minions help him decide. However, all they could do was groan. I finally understood why Elijah kept 2 zombies by his side. It was outrageously cunning. He had the zombies hold the clothes while he chose, treating them like underlings. To avoid dirtying the clothes, he even ordered them to stretch their arms long and hold the hangers, not letting the clothes touch them. The 2 unfortunate zombies, robust in build, seemed to have been carefully selected. Holding the clothes, they looked around innocently. Suddenly, we heard cries for help ahead. We rushed over and saw a crowd of zombies swarming around 3 people. Among them, a man was dressed in camouflage and military boots, with a determined look in his eyes. The 2 people beside him tightly protected him in the middle. This is a small offshoot of the zombie wave from a few days ago. Can we draw them away? We should be able to. But I'm not sure I can communicate with so many zombies at once, so we need to keep a certain distance from these zombies and try. Elijah waved to the trio. Hey, brother, our special ability is to communicate with zombies. We'll draw them away soon. You guys hurry up and go. Don't mind us. We can escape. Then Elijah shouted at the zombies. Roar, 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 roar. The zombies paused, then slowly turned around. After hesitating, they decided to chase us. We kept our distance from the zombies as much as possible, with Elijah communicating with them in batches, diverting the group of zombies. We finally shook off all the zombies where the 3 people could no longer see us. The enthusiasm of the zombies was overwhelming. The 2 zombie minions also got lost at some point. Why did you speak directly the first time I met you, but today you just roared? Elijah glanced at me, slightly embarrassed. Actually, roaring works too. Speaking consumes more energy. I spoke at the pharmacy last time because I thought it would be cooler to make an entrance that way. Actually, the effects of roaring and speaking are different. Can you control the strength of your ability and who you use it on? Teach me. I really wanted to control my ability. I didn't want to indiscriminately benefit everyone around me, sure, but there was a problem. I can't feel my ability at all, nor see its effects. No worries. Try closing your eyes and changing it a bit. I can feel it. After trying for a long time, I finally managed to control my ability at will. I wanted to apply most of my enhancement to Elijah and use a small part to control the zombies, but he insisted he didn't need it. You don't have to give it to me. I can protect you without it. It's okay. It's a waste not to use it. No, you can use it to enhance yourself. Don't worry. From now on, no one can enhance his abilities casually, not even me. People change, you know, he added, still feeling uneasy. We suddenly remembered that after spending so much time choosing clothes, we didn't take any with us. They were all left behind on the road. Let's just pick something quickly. Look at those tattered strips on your clothes. I can hardly bear to look at them anymore. Elijah widened his eyes. Sister, these strips are part of the original design of the clothes. It's the big holes that were torn. Now it was my turn to be shocked. This style of dressing really screams zombie apocalypse. I shook my head. I don't understand. We walked and stopped intermittently, practicing our special abilities while having fun, and finally reached the human base. According to the informant, essentially some well-informed zombies, Eric and his group had arrived at the base 2 days ago. It took us a while to understand what that zombie was gesturing. The numbers didn't match. It wasn't the 5 people I mentioned, but only 3. Including Eric and another person who was likely Clara, who had spoken up for me before, losing 2 teammates. It seems they also faced many difficulties along the way, Elijah said. It was inevitable. With their actual strength, it was impossible to reach the base unscathed. The fact that they managed to come this far without harm was all thanks to your ability enhancement. That Eric would abandon his teammates in danger was something I had anticipated. If Eric could abandon me, whom he grew up with, why not just a few ordinary friends? The missing 2 deserved it. For them, when misfortune happens to others, it doesn't touch them, so when it happens to themselves, there's no reason for me to feel sympathy. Today you watch others suffer coldly. Tomorrow when disaster strikes you, no one will cheer for you. The base really values those with special abilities. As we approached the gate surrounded by several zombies, the guards immediately became vigilant. Hello, we are. Elijah started, but was interrupted. Holy shit, zombies can talk now. No wonder they looked at us so warily. We're human. Why aren't the zombies harming you? I quickly responded with the excuse we had prepared beforehand. We can communicate with zombies, but it's limited. We need to be together to use our abilities. Wow, that's a unique ability. Trying to downplay it, Elijah quickly waved his hands. No. It's quite trivial. We can only communicate with a few zombies at a time. That's still pretty impressive, lad. You don't know. Our base values people with special abilities a lot. Yes, just a few days ago a young girl arrived, said to have healing powers. The higher-ups in the base treated her like a treasure, and our second-in-command even arranged for them to stay at his own place. You folks with such talents will definitely be highly regarded here. We continued to ask, Uncle, have you seen that person use her abilities? No way. Her abilities are limited to, reserved for critical moments. Elijah and I exchanged glances, thinking the same. The girl's powers might be fading, or already gone. With our special abilities, we too received a warm welcome at the base. News of 2 more special ability holders arriving quickly spread throughout the base. Soon, 2 uninvited guests came looking for us. Eric stood before us, his face oozing sincerity. Dylan, so glad to see you again. We were really worried about you, huh? As if I'd believe that. You were so worried that you left me trapped with over a dozen zombies. Dylan, how can you say that? It was a desperate situation, and we couldn't save you. Plus, if we hadn't left you there, would you have met this handsome guy? After saying this, Eric sneaked a glance at Elijah, who completely ignored him. I was almost amused by anger. So, I should thank you. Then, Lucy covered her face, tears streaming down like rain. Sister, I know you're upset that I'm with Eric, but we thought you were dead, and it was only out of deep sorrow that, wow, you must have been so heartbroken that you got together just a couple of weeks after I supposedly died. I interrupted her sarcastically. After all, it takes magic to defeat magic. Lucy was at a loss for words, and Eric quickly took her into his arms. Dylan, don't blame Lucy. What we had was just a confusion of friendship for love. Lucy and I are the real deal. I know you're not over me, but don't be jealous of Lucy. Are you sick? I never realized how delusional you were before. Now is not the time for petty squabbles. It's time we unite. With your and Lucy's abilities, especially with your communication with zombies and her healing powers, we could really make a difference at the base. So you're just interested in our abilities, aren't you? Makes sense. Why else would we be worthy to join you? Right? Eric's face turned from pale to flushed. And after a moment he said, Dylan, I've cared about you for so many years, and I never wanted to expose you. You think I don't know? You have no abilities. It's all this handsome guy next to you. Yeah, right, I have no abilities. Unlike you two with your special talents, so can you get lost now? Furious, Eric pointed his finger right at my nose. Just you wait, I'll expose you. Elijah swiftly brushed Eric's hand away. What's all this pointing and waiting? If you have more to say, just spit it out. Eric, still somewhat intimidated by Elijah, glared at us, then turned and walked away. Once he had gone, Elijah told me, Lucy's running out of her abilities. Elijah is very sensitive to energy, so if he says it's true. It must be. Lucy was originally one of those who hadn't evolved any abilities. She only developed them after being around me for a while, and now, without my enhancement, she's nearly depleted the little energy she had stored. No wonder they're so eager to ally with us, now that they're favored by the base's leadership, probably because of her healing abilities. I'd love to see their faces when they find out she's lost her powers. I pondered, continuing, who needs healing anyway? I haven't heard of anyone in the leadership being injured. Leaning close, Elijah whispered, the second-in-command has some issues. The image of the second-in-command's corpulent body and sleazy smile flashed through my mind, sending a shiver down my spine as I stepped back. How do you even know that? The zombies told me. He killed everyone who knew his secret, but what he doesn't know is that after becoming zombies, they gossip even more. Well, that's how we got hold of such a secret. We speculated that Lucy must have struck a deal with the second-in-command. She cures his ailment, and he ensures her a stable position in the base. I must say, this couple is really petty. We hadn't even started causing them trouble, and they were already stirring things up. In front of everyone, Lucy announced that we used to be a team and requested that we go out together to scavenge for supplies. At the base, it was common to form teams of 20 or 15 for supply runs, usually mixing half with abilities and half without. A group as small as 5 was unusual, and typically not allowed, Lucy claimed. With our special abilities, 5 of us is enough. It's also a good chance to demonstrate our powers. Surprisingly, the base approved. It was clearly a trap. Under the second-in-command's eager organization, the 5 of us stood at the base's entrance, 5 of us, divided into 3 groups, each with our own thoughts. The extra person was Clara, the girl who had spoken up for me before. Heard on the recorder. Clara stood off to the side, cold and aloof, neither speaking to us nor looking at Eric and the others. Eric was the first to speak up. I should have realized sooner that you were a traitor, sticking with us until you got to the base and then you want to sever ties. Clara responded coldly. The so-called sticking with you was just because you saw some utility in keeping me around, that's all, and anyone you find useless, like Dylan, you just toss aside, right? Dylan, do you think our separation was an accident? It was all planned by these two. I'm alive only because it hasn't been convenient to sacrifice me yet. Whoever can lure the zombies is pushed to the front line. Isn't that your usual style? Isn't that how the others ended up dead? It's no wonder I saw Clara parting ways with them after reaching the base. Clara then turned to me. I know you might not believe me, but what happened in the pharmacy wasn't an accident. It was all premeditated. I was too scared to take your side then. You don't have to believe me, and I won't force you, but please don't trust them anymore. I gave Clara a reassuring smile. I believe you. Eric, furious, yelled at me. Dylan, you backstabber. Even if I wasn't the kindest to you, I did look after you for 2 weeks. Now that you're with someone capable, you decide to forget all the good I did. Before I could reply, Elijah spoke up. Watch your mouth. You know exactly why you kept Dylan around. Wasn't it just to use him as a shield when necessary? Think you're so great. After saying that, Elijah punched Eric in the face. Before Eric could react, he continued, if you keep spouting nonsense, I'll let the zombies tear you apart. Don't forget what my special ability is. Eric continued to mutter under his breath but didn't dare to retaliate. Don't think I don't know your ability has a very limited range. Small or not, you want to test it? Eric was about to snap again when Lucy stepped forward and pulled him back, shaking her head. Then Lucy, trying to curry favor with Elijah, forced a smile, which Elijah dismissed with a glance before turning to me and softly saying, let's go. After clearing things up with Clara, our group of 5 split into 2, and Clara joined us. We knew they had plotted to get us out alone for some reason, so we cautiously kept our distance, other than Clara, who had a crossbow. None of us had long-range weapons, so we weren't worried about them shooting us from behind. We carefully maintained our distance from them on the road, and we didn't accept any food that Lucy pretended to offer in good faith. Yet, we still fell into a trap. 07. When I woke up, I was in a room. The floor was dirty, surrounded by a circle of debris, with lots of dust, showing traces of the debris having been dragged across. Outside the circle were zombies, momentarily blocked by the debris, but it was only a matter of time before they got over. I sat up. The zombies, seeing me move, became more enthusiastic. Luckily, just before we left, Elijah, concerned for my safety, taught me a few phrases to communicate with zombies. Roar, 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 roar. What I just roared meant, back off, stay away from me. Surprisingly, the zombies actually obeyed and stayed put. I couldn't help but marvel, if I was a zombie, would I be the king of zombies? Just as I was figuring out how to open the door, Elijah's voice came from outside, knocking urgently. Dylan, are you in there? Are you all right? I'm fine. What about you? We need to get you out first. It seems Clara was also there. The door was then forced open, and Elijah quickly assessed the situation. Eric and his group had intended to trap me in the middle. Once I wake up, I'll get to experience the terror of being surrounded by zombies and slowly eaten alive. But they probably didn't anticipate that upon waking, I could control the zombies with my special abilities. Why must they treat me as useless? Elijah held me in his arms, speechless. Elijah was unharmed, but Clara's back was soaked with fresh blood, her clothes torn by the zombies' bites. Seeing me look at her, Clara forced a smile and said, "It's okay, don't be scared. You guys can control the zombies, right?" I trembled. Wanting to touch her, she reached out and held my hand. Eric and the others thought I had no special abilities, so they left me unconscious among the debris, wanting me to wake up first to experience the fear before being eaten. But Elijah and Clara, they were placed directly among the zombies. Clara was the first to awaken, painfully alert. After struggling and killing the zombies around her, she immediately came to find us. Damn it, bastards, hurting their own kind like this. Eric and his group were no different from the zombies. We've always kept them from touching our food and water, yet we still fell into a trap. It seems someone tampered with our stuff back at the base, Elijah said. Just the two of them couldn't have managed this. It looks like the second in command had decided to help them, Elijah continued. Clara's crossbow was stained red with her own blood. She looked at me and said, "Let's go after them. I want to take revenge with my own hands while I'm still lucid." Just now, on my way to find you, I ran into that couple. I didn't manage to deal with them, but I think my crossbow arrow hit Eric. Seeing Clara covered in blood yet still forcing a smile for us, my heart nearly broke. Damn it. We got up and pursued them. Before we caught up, Clara's eyes had already clouded over. Suddenly I remembered Elijah was also thrown among the zombies, and I frantically checked him for any wounds. His complexion was pale. He gently squeezed my hand and whispered in my ear, "I'm fine." Eric, injured and bleeding, attracted many zombies following behind them. We chased in their direction. We finally caught sight of them. Clara shot another arrow, hitting Eric in the thigh, slowing them down even more until they hid in a forester's cabin. The zombies surrounded the cabin completely, and we approached. By then, Clara could no longer hold her crossbow and started roaring with the surrounding zombies. "Lucy, help me stop the bleeding. Now's not the time to conserve strength." Lucy hesitated. "Eric, hurry. I'm in so much pain." Lucy cried. "Eric, I lost my special abilities a long time ago." Eric slapped her hard. You damn woman, you've killed me. When I told you to take Clara's crossbow, you complained it was too heavy." Lucy was stunned for a moment, "but you said even if we took the crossbow, we couldn't use it, so we didn't." By then, Clara had completely turned into a zombie, and I applied all my enhancements to her. In her zombie state, her wounds slowly healed. Though her clothes still bore the marks of being torn, a group of zombies, under Elijah's command, broke down the door and surrounded the area. Eric struggled to crawl over and clung to my feet. Dylan, I was wrong. It was all this woman's fault. Think of our years of friendship. Save me, please." I kicked him squarely in the chest. "How can I save you? Didn't you say I didn't have special abilities and wasn't worthy of you? Didn't you just put us among the zombies again?" The more I thought about it, the angrier I got, and I kicked him over. "Damn it, Eric. Have you ever considered that your life matters, but so do others?" I enhanced Elijah, and he directed a few zombies to hold Eric down, and the zombie Clara pounced on him. Clara didn't attack in the typical zombie fashion, but under Elijah's guidance, used an arrow as a dagger. Eric was left with thousands of tiny holes on his body. Lucy's face turned pale as she ran up and clung to Elijah's arm, pleading, brother, do you like Dylan? I'm prettier than her. I have a better figure. I'm much better than her. Look at me. I can do anything for you." As she spoke, she began to unbutton her top. Elijah pushed her away with disgust. "Do you know where you're better than Dylan? You're more shameless, more selfish, and more disgraceful." We pushed the door open, leaving behind a chorus of cries. 08. We returned to the base. We left Lucy in a cabin to stay with the zombies. Without any special abilities or protection, there was no way she could come out again. 5 of us went out, but only 2 of us came back, plus 1 corpse. When we reached the base, we noticed a different atmosphere. If before it was purely despair, now there seemed to be a glimmer of hope in their eyes. It was still the same guy guarding the gate. "Hey, the 2 of you are back. Just in time. The boss is back. We've been waiting for nearly a month. Never thought the boss would actually return. I didn't know who this so-called boss was." All I cared about was whether we'd have a chance to kill the second-in-command. We had planned to assassinate him secretly and then leave, but just a quarter hour after we returned, someone respectfully came to invite us, you two, the ones who can communicate with zombies. The boss wants to meet you. We were led to a room, orderly furnished in dark tones. A man sat in the middle, flanked by two people, the same ones we had inadvertently saved last time. The man in the middle smiled indifferently at us. I just returned from a mission. I heard that two people who can communicate with zombies had arrived at the base, and I guessed it was you. Thanks for last time. It was nothing, just lending a hand. My name is Dominic. Consider this base your home. If you need anything, just let me know. I want to bring a zombie back. I won't let her go outside. We will keep her under control. All right. Lucy never came back with us, and the second-in-command, furious, tried to sabotage us secretly but was stopped by Dominic each time. Surprisingly, Lucy had a stroke of luck and managed to return. The day she came back, she was almost shot as a zombie because she was covered in zombie filth. It was by masking her scent this way that she managed to convince the zombies she was one of them and walked all the way back. The same day she returned, she was taken away by the second-in-command. That night, we found Dominic and asked him for a favor. The next day, a rumor spread through the base. The second-in-command was impotent. And who spread the rumor? Well, the entire base knew. Only Lucy was aware of that incident. Right, 09. Before we could act, the second-in-command was already dead. It turned out that the trap that had ensnared Dominic was set by the second-in-command. On the day the truth was revealed, the second-in-command tried to flee with his men but was shot in the head by Dominic. Searching his house, they found the tortured, disfigured corpse of a woman. Her skin was covered with wounds, her hair plucked out, and her face slashed with marks. People in the base who didn't understand the full story sighed. Such a capable healer, ruined by the second-in-command. Even if the disease couldn't be cured, it shouldn't have come to this. But people soon moved on from their regrets. Drawn by more pressing matters, I continued to strengthen Elijah, and we managed to keep the zombies within several kilometers calm and distant. The security of our base has significantly improved, and with it, Elijah's and my prestige among the people has soared. Scientists later discovered that some individuals who had been bitten possessed antibodies. These antibodies were used to develop a vaccine. Zombies who had not yet bitten anyone were also vaccinated and recovered. The entire human population was inoculated, preventing the emergence of new zombies. Unfortunately, they lost their ability to reproduce, but Clara could continue to smile at me. As for the zombies that had bitten humans, they were taken in groups to newly constructed makeshift factories nearby, where they started working tirelessly. One day, humanity will rebuild civilization here. Side story, the night I returned, I meticulously checked Elijah's body. Just as I reached his chest, Elijah grabbed my hand. Dylan, I think I might be a zombie. The day we were stunned, the zombies didn't bite me. They just circled around me. Maybe I had been bitten before that. I buried my head in his chest, my tears and snot rubbing against him. Impossible. That can't be. It must be because the zombies don't hurt you since you've been with me for so long. Elijah wiped my tears away. It's okay, even if I'm a zombie. I'm one with a conscience. No, you're not. To prove that Elijah was still human, I kissed him on the lips. He tasted so sweet, so delicious. Definitely not a zombie, as zombies smell awful. After I had my fill, I lay on his chest. Even if you were a zombie, you'd still be my zombie. Just to be safe, we had Dominic arrange for scientists to check Elijah. Everything was normal. He just had zombie antibodies in his system. Later, scientists extracted these antibodies to create a vaccine for the human population, which prevented the creation of new zombies. But that's a story for another time. The scientist grumbled. Didn't you secretly come for a checkup yesterday? Why another one today? I know your antibodies are precious, and you are now a treasure of the base, but you can't keep wearing out this old man. You're single. You wouldn't understand. Dominic replied to the scientist with a mysterious smile on his face. Hearing this, I burst into laughter. Thinking about my impulsive actions from the night before, I punched Elijah in the chest. You said you were a zombie, liar. Elijah smirked. I said maybe. Then he whispered in my ear, you can check again tonight. What met him was a barrage of playful punches. Liar, liar, liar.